fellow Ben. And then I tell him to get off of me. To leave me alone. So I can get back to work. It's all right.
It wasn't exactly Missy Elliott and Lose Control, but the OJ's doing some OJ stuff and keeping it real. Good morning. Welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. And boy, oh boy, how about Enrique Tarrio? 22 years, the longest sentence of all of the January 6th defendants. Of course, the only leader, quote unquote, of color in all of that. So he messed around and found out, didn't he? We'll have that story for you. And also a report is surfacing that HBCU leaders are stepping down. I want to dig into why. We'll bring you that story as well. And Elon Musk is blaming the Jews for X's failure and claims he will file a defamation suit against the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. Can Musk get away with saying the quote unquote the Jews? Well, we will see, won't we? And also, America is in the midst of a police officer shortage that many in law enforcement blame on the twofold morale hit of 2020, the coronavirus pandemic and criticism of police that boiled over with the murder of George Floyd by a police officer. From Minnesota to Maine, Ohio to Texas, small towns are unable to fill jobs. They are actually eliminating their police departments and turning over police work to their county sheriff, a neighboring town, or the state police. We'll have more on that as well. And at the U.S. Open, and I see my big sisters watching, she loves that. Francis Tiafoe and Ben Shelton will face off at the U.S. Open's quarterfinals, they faced off, I should say, marking the first time in 15 years that two Black American men played in Arthur Ashe Stadium. The world's largest tennis venue is named after, of course, the barrier-breaking player who reached the #1 rank in the world and became the first Black man to win the U.S. Open, Wimbledon, and the Australian Open before retiring in 1980. On the women's side, Coco Gauff and Madison Keys have also had a part in this history-making effort, bringing the total number of American players of color in the singles quarterfinals to 4. The last time two Black Americans faced off was 2008 when James Blake played Donald Young during the tournament's first round. We'll have a little bit more on that as well. And aren't we tired of this happening to Black men in particular? A New York man was officially exonerated yesterday, 47 years after he was found guilty of rape in 1976, the longest standing wrongful conviction to be overturned based on new DNA evidence in U.S. history. A DNA hit conclusively excluded Leonard Mack, who is now 72 years old, as the perpetrator of Westchester County District Attorney Miriam Rochal said in a statement. Conviction Review Unit investigators identified a convicted sex offender after they ran the DNA through databases, and the DA's office said the individual has now confessed to the rape from 1976. But the big story this morning, of course, is, hey, they say you mess around, you find out. And Enrique Tarrio, now, y'all know who he is. I mean, he looks like us, looks like me. Afro-Cuban, leader of the racist, right-wing, Trump-supporting Proud Boys, got the harshest sentence. And it figured, right? It figured. And not that it wasn't deserved. Prosecutors wanted 33 years. The judge said, okay, we'll give him 22 in federal prison. I mean, he has to all of that time. He organized, he played a central role, and getting together this gang of pro-Trump followers to attack the Capitol on January 6, 2021, and stop the peaceful transfer of presidential power. His sentence, stemming from his conviction this spring on charges of seditious conspiracy, of course, as we said, was the most severe penalty handed down. And the judge yesterday added a terrorism enhancement to Enrique's sentencing. And so far, more than 1,100 people have been charged in connection with the Capitol attack, and more. They're still every day we're getting news releases that they are arresting more and more people. No one's getting away with it. And it's so interesting. If anyone saw any of the court proceedings yesterday, Tarrio, who up until his trial, he was posting things on social media saying that, only the weak give up, only the weak change, or whatever. The guy was spouting his nonsense. Then he got before the judge. His mom came before the judge. His girlfriend came before the judge. He's crying to the judge, please don't take my 40s away. He's 39 years old. Don't take away my 40s. I realized that Trump lost. My candidate lost, he said. That's the first time that he's admitted that Trump lost the 2020 election. The judge was like, give me a break. You did all this talking, all of this, stand up, be a leader type talking. Well, he messed around and found out, right? Power 96. It is just unbelievable. These guys that have come before the court in D.C., the three other men, Joseph Biggs, Zachary Rell, and Dominic Pizzola. And it's so interesting. They were each sentenced to last week to between 10 and 17 years. Pizzola got 10 years, and Zachary Rell and Joseph Biggs got 17 years in prison. And each of them had brought their families, their daughters, and their moms, and appealing to the judge to have mercy. Yet, lest we forget that, was it 5 police officers, 5 law enforcement officers died as a result of their actions. Let's not even consider the insurrection, the sedition that they were convicted of, but those officers lost their lives. And many more. If you remember the black cop, many more would probably, including lawmakers, probably would have lost their lives if it wasn't for the actions of that particular black cop. Can't remember his name, but Enrique, there was no sympathy toward this guy. And here's the big question. Donald Trump did not issue a statement, did not say a word of support for this guy. It's just like everyone else in that MAGA camp. They go down, just another casualty. Trump says, I don't know who you are. Interesting stuff. We saw, what's his name? Harrison Floyd stay in that Fulton County jail for a couple of weeks or a week or whatever it was, while Trump and his others came and went within minutes. This is what they do. This is what MAGA does. So now Enrique has 22 years to really consider. He's not going to, as he pleaded with the judge, no, you're not going to see your 40s as a free man. You're not going to see your daughter and graduate college. And you're not going to see her reach other milestones. Your wife will probably end up with another man. All because of Donald Trump. Oh boy. Nice going, dude. And now, and the question for him is, how does he survive now? How does he go into prison? Do you go in as a proud black man? Do you go in hoping that the Aryan nation takes you in? I think not. It's unbelievable. I feel like Bernie Mac. I want to say what I want to say, but I can't say what I want to say, but I really want to say. Anyway, moving on. He's gone 22 years now. Of course, they're holding out hope against hope. Trump is running to save his skin, to try and avoid prison. That's why he's running for president. That's the primary reason why he's running for president at this point. But he's also got these other people, 1,100 people more coming, hoping that not only does he get in, but he doesn't forget and pardons them all and short circuits their prison time. But that's the life they chose. So the number of presidents leaving their positions as a result of resignations, retirements, or terminations includes at least 4 women at historically Black colleges and universities. The leaders at HBCUs are departing at an exceptionally high rate, according to a new report, with at least a dozen stepping down since March. The Washington Post is reporting that the number of presidents leaving their positions at the nation's roughly 100 HBCUs is a result of sector-wide resignations, retirements, and terminations. There have also been a broader trend of presidents at predominantly white institutions stepping down. Forbes reported that several university presidents have announced their resignation or retirement in the past month, including American University's Sylvia Burwell, Gordon G. at West Virginia University, Mark Tessier-Levine at Stanford, and Margaret Catherine Banks of Texas A&M University. According to the Post, though, Terrell Strayhorn, director of the Center for the Study of HBCUs at Virginia Union, highlighted that since 2022, about 1/4 of the nation's 100 presidential seats had become available. This is a quote, "It's difficult to be a university leader, and this turnover is sort of the new normal," Strayhorn told the Washington Post. The sheer number of vacancies at HBCUs is notable, but this trend is part of the enterprise of higher ed, Strayhorn went on to say. Although the causes for the departures are as diverse as the departing executives and the institutions they oversaw, there are some similarities. Many occurred in small, private, religiously associated universities like Lemoyne Owen College in Memphis and Philander Smith College in Little Rock. And a handful of women are among those who have left their jobs, and there have been outspoken disputes about enrollment and funding. Of course, affirmative action, certainly, I'm sure, if this report is to be believed, if it is found to be true, affirmative action will be at the root of a lot of this. Power 96 says presidents at HBCU in the South are handpicked by the governor. Several need to step down. So there's that. But it certainly has its roots in that affirmative action decision that the Supreme Court and Clarence Thomas and his boys, disrobed boys, decided upon. I say disrobe because the veil came off with him finally disclosing some of the illegal gifts he was getting for years, and still is, because no one is there to stop them, and as well as Judge Alito as well. So Supreme Court is just as messed up as the House of Representatives, as the Senate. Come on, guys, don't put your trust in these folks. How about Elon Musk? Now, we all know what happened to Kanye West when he said the Jews, and when Dave Chappelle said the Jews, and when Jamie Foxx made a very innocent post about a month ago, And everyone came after him saying that it was about the Jews, when it really was not in Jamie's case. But will Elon Musk get the same treatment? Probably kind of difficult, some will say, because he actually owns the big platform X, formerly known as Twitter. But he's threatening to sue the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, for defamation, claiming that the nonprofit organization's statements about rising hate speech on the social media platform have torpedoed X's advertising revenue. In a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, Elon said U.S. advertising revenue is still down 60%, primarily due to pressure on advertisers by the ADL. He says that's what advertisers tell them. So they almost succeeded in killing X/Twitter, is what Elon wrote. And he claimed that since he took over the platform in 2022, the ADL has, quote, been trying to kill this platform by falsely accusing it and me of being anti-Semitic. To clear our platform's name on the matter of anti-Semitism, it looks like we have no choice but to file a defamation lawsuit against the Anti-Defamation League. He says, oh, the irony. And the ADL says, as a matter of public policy, it does not comment on legal threats, but the organization noted it recently met with the leadership of Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, including Linda Yaccarino, who is the CEO that Elon hired to help revive ad revenue. She thanked the ADL CEO Jonathan Greenblatt following the meeting, which took place last week. She said, a strong and productive partnership is built on good intentions and candor. Meanwhile, Elon Musk has continued to poke the bear, as they say, with a series of posts criticizing the Anti-Defamation League. But it's so interesting because, let's face it, ever since Elon took over, whether it's coincidence, whether he invited it, or whatever, it's been what folks, I guess, in older generations would call smut. It's been filled with it. You have to, and it's, you don't have these folks as your friends or whatever, but yet it's still all over your timeline. It's, and hate speech is all over your timeline. It's so much to wade through the muck and mire. Gosh, I sound old. Of Twitter or X. I try to follow only news organizations on Twitter, and colleagues and other journalists for the most part. I don't even follow many entertainers like Chuck D, because I know Chuck. But other than that, but still, yet still, I get so much on the feed, and it's just, Twitter has really, here's to hoping that, the other ones, Threads and Fan Base, and what's the black one? Did I say the black one yet? The black owned one. Here's hoping today that they succeed as well, because this stuff with Twitter is spill. Gosh, the black people got so spill. Yep. I got an invite for Spill from Dawn. Yeah, I should have remembered that, right? So anyway, we'll see what comes of that. But it seems like they had a productive meeting with the ADL, so who knows? So in small towns, folks, if you happen by a small town, don't expect to see local police. At least in many small towns, America is in the midst of a police officer shortage that many in law enforcement blame. They're claiming that they took a major morale hit during the pandemic, and it really reached a crescendo when George Floyd was murdered in Minnesota. And places in Minnesota, Maine, Ohio, and Texas, small towns there, have been unable to fill jobs there. Officers, including recently an entire department, handed in their resignation. So they're bringing in state police and county sheriffs where possible to fill these roles until they can coerce someone else to take those positions. And the trend isn't altogether new. At least 521 U.S. towns and cities with populations of 1,000 to 200,000 disbanded policing between 1972 and 2017, according to a peer-reviewed 2022 paper by Rice University professor of economics Richard Boylan. And in the past 2 years, at least 12 small towns have dissolved their police department. Power 96, again, if the good cops, he says, outed the bad cops, they wouldn't have that problem. Simple as that, right? So anyway, small town America. Did somebody just do a racist song about small town America? Yeah, Jason Aldean. Yeah, it's gotten worse now, huh? No, maybe it's gotten better in those towns. Maybe those towns need to get rid of those police officers. Who knows? On a lighter subject, folks, we're going to turn to the U.S. Open. As I noted earlier, Monique is watching, and she loves the U.S. Open, and history is being made there with Francis Tiafoe and Ben Shelton facing off at the Open quarterfinals, marking the first time in 15 years that two Black American men played in Arthur Ashe Stadium. Everybody should remember the #1 player in the world, Arthur Ashe. He was the first Black man to win the U.S. Open, Wimbledon, and the Australian Open before retiring in 1980. Sam, Monique says yes with two exclamation points. And Coco Gauff, did y'all see that girl? I mean, she's young, energetic. I think she's 19. And her and Madison Keys have really, they've helped to, bring this number to 4 to players of color. But she was getting down in Arthur Ashe Stadium. She was dancing and stuff. And I guess her mom was up in the stands and dancing from the stands. And it was like, it was really cool to see a true moment for her to be proud of, and not just because of dancing, but she was dancing because she was winning and things like that. But this 19 years old, this young lady is already at star level, headed towards superstardom, and who knows? As Serena is gone now. Serena, she might be tracking down some of those records that you set. And I'm sure Serena would not have a problem with that. So check out the U.S. Open. It's pretty cool, not just because of the Black players. That helps, right? But it's been pretty cool. And it's always a really good event at Flushing Meadows and Queens. Really, Arthur Ashe Stadium, never been there. It's a beautiful, beautiful stadium there right next to Citi Field. And fills up this time every single year. And these stories, as we said at the top, so and before I say that, and we see Coco Gauff in that picture, Power 96 says she is on another level. And she certainly is. Love Coco Gauff. I wish she had a different name. But a man convicted of raping a teenage girl at gunpoint in Greenburgh, New York, nearly 50 years ago, has finally been exonerated. And this case really, really is upsetting for a number of reasons. DNA testing did confirm that Leonard Mack had not committed the assault. This guy had an ironclad alibi, had no previous record, living his life with his girlfriend when this alleged incident happened, and still was arrested, convicted. He says for 48 years, 48 long years, I walked around society being labeled a rapist when I knew I didn't do it. Now that this day is here, I just thank God. I thank God that finally the truth came out. Now I can truly say that I'm free, not when I got out of Sing Sing, but when I walk out of here today. He had been released on parole previously, and he worked still tirelessly to clear his name. And So what really happened in this case? Well, here's what happened. It was one night in May of 1975. Two teenage girls were walking home from school, Woodlands High School, and they were going through a wooded area, according to the police report. And it was behind the Metropolis Golf Club, which is about 25 miles northeast of Manhattan. They passed a man walking toward them when he doubled back and demanded they not turn around and threatened to kill them if they did. Well, he held them at gunpoint, used their clothes to gag them and bind their ankles and wrists, and he raped one of them twice before he ran away. The girl who was raped ran home, where her sister called the police. She was taken to a hospital. The other girl ran to another school where a staff member also called the police. The description the girls gave the police, and here's where we really get upset, was of a black man wearing a brimmed hat and an earring. When they pulled Mac over, Westchester County Parkway police pulled him over 2 hours later, about 5 miles from the scene. Police said there was a gun in the trunk of his car after they searched his vehicle. The girl's friends were taken to Mac's location and asked whether Mac was the assailant. But folks, he was the only one there in handcuffs, surrounded by police officers. She said he was. Well, what followed was more highly suggestive identification procedures, including one in which she told detectives that Mac's clothes did not match those of the rapist. Officers provided Mac different clothes, and she then said he was the one who attacked. They gave him the clothes of what she described the rapist was wearing. The victim had not clearly seen her attacker, but did claim to have recognized his voice when police told him to speak the assailant's threat as she watched behind a one-way mirror. They simply ignored his protest that he had been with his girlfriend that afternoon and with mechanics discussing car repairs and had nothing to do with the rape. He had an ironclad alibi. He says the hardest thing was being charged, knowing I wasn't that kind of individual, that I am not that kind of man that would do something like that. I wanted to know, why would you do that to a Vietnam veteran, a person who fought for this country? And now this is what you do to me. I came home and you falsely accused me and you throw me in prison, he said. Most of the identifications were ruled inadmissible at trial, which took place the following year. But the roadside one and the friend's in-court identification became the focus of the prosecution's case. In other words, prosecution wanted to convict this guy regardless. They threw out everything. Jurors were never made aware of the improper identification. Mac presented a great alibi defense with the mechanic and his girlfriend. He also had what they call a serologist from the New York City Office of Chief Medical Examiner to testify that Mac was not the source of the DNA evidence on the victim's underwear because he had a different blood type. Now, at that time, criminal proceedings did not yet rely on DNA evidence. So they essentially railroaded him. He was sentenced to between 7.5 and 15 years in prison in April of 1976. And since his release, has been on parole. It's a powerful example of how tunnel vision and racial bias can lead to a wrongful conviction, according to one of Mac's Innocent Project lawyers, Susan Friedman. She says, despite the fact that Mr. Mac didn't match the description and the fact that his clothing didn't match and the IDs were unreliable, the state didn't do much else to investigate the case beyond that. And Power 96 says the DA and every cop should be thrown in Rikers Island for that. Exactly. And this man, so they'll pay him some sort of settlement, right? A couple $1 million probably. And but it doesn't make up for 48 years. 48 years, and as he said himself, has to go through life being looked upon as a rapist, the lowest form next to child molestation of crime that one can commit. That's a shame. But good for Mr. Mack, for happy for him and his family. And hopefully, the Innocence Project, whatever it takes, folks. I don't know what their procedure is for donations or anything like that, but things like the Innocence Project, you want to donate money, resources of any kind, that's where you want to donate. Also, there's the Bail Project. You want to donate, I know people make their political contributions, they make this, their church contributions. If you want to donate, especially if in communities of color, if you want to donate, that's where you want to donate your resources to, because then you get results like this. Unbelievable. Well, folks, you're sucking through another morning with me alone. We could have brought the boys on, but we decided just to go it alone this morning. But thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow.